Well, on December 17th, Bouazizi set himself on fire, and the fruit vendor in Sidi Bouzid. And I feel that that was the spark that launched a whole series of events. And a spark that was used by local activists in Sidi Bouzid, people who belong to the unions, people who belong to the parties, to basically portray this episode as something that would have a universal value and everybody would see himself. So the fruit vendor was first portrayed in the media as somebody who graduated from a university, who was a fruit vendor because he did not have another job, and this resonates with a lot. As I say, 200,000 people, are jobless who graduate from universities. But 200,000 people, it means 200,000 families who invested in those kids to go to school and supported them, and then they had no jobs. So we're talking about larger group of people who were frustrated with this. And basically what happened is what we've seen in the 2008 and other protests that we observed in other regions. We've seen protests that were really cracked down. There was a really very violent crackdown by Ben Ali in 2008. And I think people saw how way it was handled before, and this time got better organized in terms of using the social media to share the information. That's something did not happen very well, or did not see very well before. But also there was some sort of like, not a strategy, but was a larger resignation with what was happening. And we've seen protests being organized in all the small villages surrounding Sidi Bouzid, and then in provinces that were near Sidi Bouzid. And this went spread really quickly in a short amount of time. But in the same time, we've seen a series of the wrong decisions and the worst decisions that any dictator or political system could take. They did not understand what was happening. They sent police right away. They violently oppressed all the protesters, but also the citizens who were living in those cities, shutting down electricity, arresting people randomly, police who would destroy local shops. And at some point, we start hearing about the use of the real bullets. And real bullets, more than Bouazizi, to my opinion, were basically the turning point of the revolution. In Tunisia, we don't carry guns. Nobody has a gun. Nobody heard the sound of a bullet in his whole life. Never, ever, we've heard since 1956, maybe, the use of real bullets. And unlike other areas, when something like this happens, people are really shocked. Police would use real bullets against young people in the streets. That was something that nobody would accept. And for me, that's when I knew that there would be no way back. But I think the people who organized the protests knew that there was no way back from the day one. Because we've seen, if they stop at any point, and if the Ben Ali forces win the crackdown, then they will pay a very heavy price later on. Although he will be looking for compromise to stabilize the situation in the beginning, 6 months later, everybody will end up in jail.